So what we're talking about today is finding light in places you would never choose to work on purpose. And just to tell you that there's beautiful light everywhere if you understand the principles that you're looking for. So we're out in the middle of a parking lot. No overhangs of trees, a little bit of foliage along the building. We're actually right out front of our studio here in Lexington. And it's a great spot to get some beautiful lighting. And if you understand what you're doing and how to do it, you can isolate little areas and get beautiful portraits. Now I'm going to work more half length and close up for this, which is a little bit easier because I can get more shallow depths of field. I can manage the background, and it's also very important to use a really long lens. I'll be shooting today most of the portraits with a 200 millimeter lens on my Canon Mark IV. So a wide open aperture or close, maybe 2.8, maybe f4, 100 ISO. Definitely using a tripod because a tripod basically is another light source because you're able to drag your shutter and get beautiful light from the ambient light. Hand holding it, you're going to be high ISOs and you're going to have some trouble with resolution. It's going to be a lot more difficult. Plus, I find it a lot easier to compose the images. Now remember, when we shoot outside, we're thinking about several things. One is quantity of light, quality of light, and direction of light. Those are the three things that we always consider when we're working outside. Most people understand quantity, just having enough a light to shoot. And this is where the tripod will help you, because a tripod not only allows you to compose an image very strategically and to step away from the camera and connect with your client, with your subject, but it also allows you to shoot lower ISOs, higher resolution, because you're not hand holding those cameras. The other thing is quality of light basically just means there's something between your light and your subject. That determines the quality of light. We're on the back side of a building and the sun is setting on the other side. So there's something between the light, the sun, and my subject. So now we have good quality of light because it's indirect. Where most people go wrong is they don't understand direction of light. We're looking for beautiful direction of light. So one of the things I'm going to do, I'm working right outside our front door here, is you'll notice there's an overhang. One of the most difficult parts of lighting outside is light that comes from above. We have tendency to get a little raccooning in the eyes or shadowing under the chin. We don't get direction of light. Think about when you're working in the studio, what you do is you take a light, a softbox, something along those lines, and you position it to light your subject where you want it. But then you go outside and you light it from anywhere and everywhere, overhead, whatever it happens to be. Well, you wouldn't do that in the studio. Why do we do that outside? So I've got a spot here with just a little bit of overhang, and Olivia is my subject, my beautiful subject again this month. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pop her underneath this just a little bit, and we're going to allow that to take away some of that light from overhead. As she steps in here, we subtract the light from overhead. We force it to come in at this direction because it's blocked on my right and it's blocked from overhead. So what's happening is now my light is filtering in from over, as you look at it in the camera, from over that camera's right shoulder. So now all I have to do is turn the face back toward that light source. Now I've got beautiful direction of light. Remember, quantity, quality, and direction are the three things we're looking for. Now, because we're outside in a very unattractive location for portrait work, I'm going to stay very sharp to this building. As you can see, it's got a lot of windows and a lot of stuff going on, so I'm going to stay very sharp to the building. So what am I doing? I'm minimizing the building and I'm getting leading lines, what little bit of it I use. And then we're going to have the little bit of foliage out of focus in the background. So let's create this portrait of Olivia. This is my subject, Olivia, one of my favorite people in the world, modeling for me today. So what we're going to do is I'm turning her body away from the light source. Now remember from the previous video, the light's coming from my left, camera right. So I'm taking the body, turning it away from the light source, and then turning her face back toward that light. The reason I do that is to get movement to the body. Because if she turn toward me, Olivia, and we do this, we've got body, face, everything going the same direction, very static. So we want movement to the photograph. So I'm going to turn her away. What that does is that light will cross the body, we'll get some texture to the outfit, and then we'll turn her face back toward the light, subtracting it from overhead, forcing it to come from this direction. So I'm going to walk back to my camera and take a look, and see what we've got. All right, Olivia, let me see. It's beautiful. I'm taking really sharp angle because from where you guys are looking at this, you're probably seeing that kind of that drainage pipe that's running down the wall behind her. I'm so sharp an angle, I'm actually eliminating that. I'm minimizing the building because I'm working very, very close to it. I'm also repeating foreground, subject, and background. So as you look at the images, as I take them, and this particular one, you're going to see the building in the foreground. So you're going to see this white edge kind of coming into her. That gives us foreground. And then she's the subject, and then the background out of focus behind her. Remember, photography is very two-dimensional. So what we're doing is we're trying to create an illusion of three-dimension. So how do you do that? If we simply moved her out and only had her in the background, we're not creating layers of depth. We want layers of depth to the photograph. So I'm going to keep her right there. That's exactly what I want you to do. That's beautiful. Don't go anywhere. Looks fantastic. I'm shooting a horizontal. I'm shooting very close. Face a little bit, well, right there. And your eyes right into the camera. I like the head off axis to the camera. Olivia, pull your hair away from your, there you go. Thank you. Oh, that looks fantastic. And that's right at me, right into the camera. Absolutely beautiful. I'm going to step in a little bit from the shot I just took just to eliminate this light fixture that's in the foreground. Keeping my camera very close to the wall. Absolutely beautiful. And Olivia, face turn, eyes right through here. Wonderful. I love it. Right at me. Now, I don't feel like I need anything to bring light up in her eyes because I've dipped her underneath this overhang. And part of what that does, as I say, is it forces the light to come in at a lower angle. If she were out in the parking lot, we might find that her eyes are a little shadowed, and what I'd have to do is probably open them up with a reflector or some kind of strobe, which I don't like to really go outside and use strobes. I'll do it if a location demands it, but my goal is to be able to work with ambient light and then use structure and reflected light to give me the light I want in the portrait.